In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can start your own online arbitrage business on Amazon. I'm going to break everything down step by step so that you can start implementing as quickly as possible. Now, I do want you to stay until the end of this video because, believe it or not, although you see hundreds of products behind me on the floor, they're all surrounding me. Took me 3 weeks to find my first profitable product when I started diving into the arbitrage model. This led me to creating specific frameworks that I follow that allow me to find products on demand now. And I've shared these frameworks with some of my clients, and one of my clients, Scott, never touched the arbitrage model before, and within 30 minutes of learning the model, found his first profitable product. And I want you to be able to do the exact same thing by the end of this video. But if you don't stay until the end of this video, I can guarantee you that you're going to be bouncing around randomly, going from site to site, sale to sale, scanning one product at a time, and then asking yourself, how am I ever supposed to get enough inventory to actually make this a profitable business model? How is this even viable? How are people even doing this? I don't want that to be you, so let's dive right into the video. Now, the first thing that we need to talk about is software. Now, you're going to need 3 pieces of software when you're starting online arbitrage. 2 of these softwares are mandatory and 1 is a strong recommendation. But keep in mind, you're going to need these from day 1 when you start implementing. The first piece of software is going to be Keepa, which is going to give you all of the data that you're going to need to make good buying decisions. The second piece of software is a profit and loss calculator like Sellerboard, which is going to tell you if a product is profitable or not. The reason I recommend Sellerboard over something like RevSeller when it comes to online arbitrage is because it has the ability to storefront stock really efficiently, which we're going to get into later on in the video. Now, these 2 pieces of software are absolutely mandatory, but a strong recommendation of an additional software that I think you should get is IP Alert. Now, IP Alert is going to tell you if a brand is known for filing IP complaints so that you can avoid any of these issues down the road. The reason I recommend this software is because although online arbitrage is a great opportunity, in my experience, it does come with more IP issues if you're not careful. So this software is going to help you mitigate your risk. And yes, Sellerboard does have this feature as well, but it does not do nearly as good of a job as IP Alert. Next step is product research. Now, product research is the most important skill that you need to develop in this business, even more important than product sourcing, which is the actual finding and buying of the inventory. Because you cannot get good at finding profitable inventory if you are not good at evaluating the data behind that inventory. This can literally make or break your business. If you do not develop this skill, you're going to continuously buy shit inventory that doesn't sell or is losing you money month after month. So you need to take this really seriously. And because it is so important, I've gone ahead and made a 45-minute video showing you exactly how to do proper product research, everything that you're going to need to know, which you can watch after this video. But specifically when it comes to product research and online arbitrage, I want to highlight one big issue that you're going to be running into if you're not careful, which is price tanking. In my experience, price tanking is more prevalent with online arbitrage, and I believe that's because of the lower barrier of entry to get into this business model. But there are things that we can do to protect ourselves so that we avoid this as much as possible. So let's go over 3 things that you want to take into account when it comes to product research to avoid listings that are about to drop in price. Number 1 is a price spike, which means if a product is currently selling for, let's say, $30, but the last 9 months, it has been selling for $10, it will most likely go back down to that $10 price point or at least very close to it. This absolutely wrecks newbies, so you need to be careful. Number 2 is a rising seller count. This means that the amount of sellers coming onto a listing is going up significantly. If you see this, I guarantee you that price is about to drop. It just takes one guy to get an itchy trigger finger and start a price war and everyone's Number 3, ease of discovery, which is just a fancy way of saying if it is super easy for you to find this product, then chances are it's going to be very easy for everyone else to find this product as well, which means competition is coming closely behind you. So for example, let's say Nike has a massive sale and you find a profitable product at the top of page 1. I guarantee you other people are also finding that product just based off of the amount of traffic that the Nike site gets. Now, this isn't always the case. It really just depends on where you're sourcing. Like, let's say you find something really quickly at grocery outlet. The amount of people sourcing at grocery outlet is a fraction of the amount of people sourcing at Walmart, Target, Best Buy, Nike, but it is something to keep in mind before you go really deep on a product. Next up is product sourcing. Now, product sourcing is the actual finding and purchasing of the inventory, and product sourcing and product research are going to be happening simultaneously. But when it comes to product sourcing, the key is daily implementation. You need to be doing this every single day to some degree, especially in the beginning, to just develop the skill of finding profitable inventory. If you go really hard, let's say one day, and you take 5 days off, then you come back and you go really hard for a couple of hours, then you take another 5 days off, don't come in with the expectation of making any money. Just like any other skill in your life, this is a skill that you need to master, and it's gonna take some time. I'll tell you right now, chances are you're not gonna find any profitable inventory right away. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it took me 3 weeks to find my first profitable product. My goal with this video is to help you do it within a couple of days. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a very brief look into storefront stocking and how to do it using the Seller Amp Chrome extension. Now, storefront stocking is really one of those foundational methods that I believe everybody should learn first and get really, really good at. Not only are you gonna be able to find inventory very quickly, but it's also going to be something that you can tie on with any other method that you do. So if you're starting with cashback sourcing or manual sourcing or whatever sourcing you're doing, you can still integrate storefront stocking at the tail end of any one of those methods. So you need to learn this first and you need to get really good at it. So let's say we have absolutely no starting point. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to Amazon.com and we're going to type in a brand that we know arbitrage sellers like to source. So everybody wants to get into selling Nike. So that's exactly what I typed in. And this usually leads us to a lot of good results. Now we're also using Amazon DS Quick View, which is going to give us this feature right here. And it's going to be able to qualify, disqualify which listings we're actually going to look further into. So if let's say this listing said Amazon FBA and no FBA sellers, then we wouldn't want to jump on this listing, or we wouldn't even want to start sourcing it because Amazon dominates it, right? But this one over here says 8+ sellers and no Amazon. So then we're going to click on it and look at it further. Now, what we can do from here is that we can go and start sourcing this product right here and try to find it at a profitable price, or we can go over to our Seller Amp Chrome extension. We can scroll down to the sellers selling this specific product, and then we can go and capitalize on the product research that they have already done by looking at their storefronts. Now, when you're looking at which sellers you want to storefront stock, you want them to have some seller rating, but not too much, right? So if it's somebody who has, 3,000, 5,000, something like really, really high, they're probably sourcing products at a price that you're not going to be able to compete with. So let's go and look at Distribution X, their storefront. They have 63 seller rating. So then once we click on it, then it's going to take us to the Seller Amp website, and it's going to give us way more details about their storefront so that we can actually go and storefront stock really efficiently. Now I'm going to give you a very brief rundown of what we're looking at here, and then we're going to dive right into a product that I already found for you guys so that we can make this process a little bit faster. So you can either source by brand, like let's say I only want to focus on Nike, I would just click on Nike and all of the Nike products are going to pop up. Let's say I only want to focus on beauty and personal care, I would click on this and I would start sourcing what they have in beauty and personal care, or I would go down the list one by one, clicking load more, and then sourcing in that manner. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that you want to qualify and disqualify as fast as possible. So let's say the buy box price currently right now is $21.20, and let's say this seller was selling their product at like $39, right? Probably not going to be a product that we want to look further into because they're not even close to being competitive in the buy box. Also, if you see that over here on the keep a screenshot, if Amazon just completely dominates the listing, probably going to be something that we don't want to look into unless we want to see if Amazon shares the buy box, but it is going to slow you down. Now, what we have here is we have the current sales rank, we have the max cost that we need to buy it at to be profitable at this buy box price. We have all of the offers, 17 FBA sellers, 4 FBM sellers, and we have the current stock and just a screenshot in time of Keepa, and then we have what this seller is selling their product at. Okay, so what we're going to do from here is that we can then click on the Google button, and then it will take us to all of the listings on Google that maybe we can find from a different retail website, and then it's going to give us the Amazon listing that we can click on to then evaluate the data even further. So I've already gone through this seller's storefront very, very briefly to speed things up for you guys. So we're going to look at this Havalon knives, and we can see that it's a 60A stainless steel and it's a 12 count that we need to find. So we go over over to Google, and we can see that we have these listings available to us right here, but they're just really overpriced. So this one is a 12 count, exactly what we're looking for, but $40. This one's $35. But Shields has it for $10. So we come on over to Shields, and this is the exact product that we are looking for. It's the exact match to Amazon. It is a 12 count as well, and it's selling for $10 currently. Using Rebates Me, as far as cash back goes, we can get 10% off. So that's gonna knock down $1 from here, assuming that you're using a prep center in a tax-free state, which I'm gonna be talking about later on in the video. That would save us $1. So let's say with prep cost, we're getting this out the door for $11 just to be safe. So we'd go back to this listing, we'd enter $11. Current sale price, we're making $2.51 at 22% ROI. And then we would further evaluate the product to make sure that it's actually a good product that we want to source. But that, in a nutshell, is exactly how you're gonna go and start sourcing. You're gonna go to Amazon, type in a brand that you know arbitrage sellers are going to source, like Nike. Then you would go and find the product that you wanna look further into, and then you would start storefront stocking the sellers on that listing. Next step is discover and refine your niche. Now, I'm a big believer in this, which is why I also mentioned it in my Amazon wholesale step-by-step video. But I think there's something to just being able to focus in on one area that leads to faster results. Because when I first started, I was all over the place. I was category jumping 10, 20 times a day, and I was getting nowhere quick. As soon as I just kind of focused in on a general area, a group of categories, 1 to 3 categories, my business started to grow. I did that with wholesale. And then when I started diving back into online arbitrage, I did the exact same thing, and my business started to grow as well. Just keep in mind, although I recommend 1 to 3 niches that you kind of focus on, it's not set in stone. You can always expand on this. You can always pivot and change the niche that you're in if you're not finding a lot of luck. But what this does do is it gives you a lot of clarity when you're going to go about product sourcing. Now, the reason I say refine your niche and not choose your niche right from the beginning is because in the beginning, you just need to get reps. You need to get as many reps as possible. And when you start product sourcing, you're going to be taken in so many different avenues. Over time, after doing this day after day, you're going to notice that you naturally start lasering in on one area. Maybe you're having a lot of luck with shoes or toys or supplements or beauty, whatever it may be, but you're going to start naturally veering in that direction. And that's where you start refining your niche. Then you're going to build some expertise. You're going to be able to recognize brands that sell really well. You're going to recognize products that sell really well. And you're going to be able to recognize prices that you need to get those products at. And once you get to that point, product sourcing becomes way more efficient. Now, I'm giving you guys a ton of free game in this video, but I obviously can't talk about every single aspect of the online arbitrage business model. It would just simply be way too long of a video. So for those of you that want some one-on-one attention, true one-on-one mentorship, then I want you to click that first link down below in the description and join my mentorship program while it's still open. Guys, this mentorship program is going to fill up, and I am going to take it away like I did in the past. But since I brought it back, my clients have been getting really fast results, and I want you to get those same exact results. Keep in mind, this is one-on-one coaching. You are working with me directly. I'm not throwing you into a group and you're hoping for the best, okay? I am helping you along the entire process, which is why people start getting results really quickly. So click that first link in the description if you want to work with me one-on-one. Now let's talk about manufacturing margin. Now this is a really important part of the arbitrage business. We need to have the ability to consistently drop the price of a product more than the average person looking at it. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but I'm going to give you 3 of my favorites. One of those is cash back. This is where you use Chrome extensions to get cash back on your purchases, which definitely adds up over time. I use Rakuten, Top Cash Back, Be Frugal, Retail Me Not, just to name a few. But when you start sourcing, a good starting point will be to check these cashback sites to see what stores have really high cashback that day. So let's say we're sourcing today. If Adidas has 6% cashback, but Puma has 15%, it would be wise to focus in on Puma that day because we already are starting with an advantage. Next is discount gift cards. This one is really slept on in my opinion, but it is a good way to consistently and predictably get an additional 5 to 10% off on your products. If you go to sites like raise.com or the gift card section in Top Cash Back, you will have access to a lot of these discount gift cards. I prefer Top Cash Back because the same ones are always available and you can enter in an exact amount and you get them instantly. Now the third one is coupon codes. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Sometimes you're going to be able to find coupon codes being promoted on a website, which is the easiest way to find it. but you can also use a Chrome extension like Capital One Shopping, and it will run through all of the coupons in their database for that site, and sometimes it hits with some gold. Now, these are all great ways to manufacture margin on their own, but when the magic really starts happening is when you can stack them all together. Let's say we have a site-wide sale that everyone has access to. Well, on top of that site-wide discount, we can add, let's say 15% cash back from Rakuten for that site. Then on top of that, we have a 10% discount gift card that we can also use. And let's say Capital One just found us a coupon code that gives us an extra 10% off. So we can go from buying one product with the site-wide discount, just like everyone else, but then we can add an extra 35% off on top of that. This is massive. So you want to keep manufacturing margin on top of mind when you're product sourcing. Now let's talk about ungating. For those of you that don't know, ungating and gated products is just where Amazon puts restrictions on specific categories, subcategories, brands, and ASINs until you provide them with the necessary documentation to get yourself ungated, which means now you can sell these products on Amazon. Now, I'm a big proponent of ungating. I think it opens up so many more doors for you. It is literally the ability to manufacture opportunity on the platform. But when it comes to arbitrage, it is even more important, because not everyone is going to have the ability to get ungated. When it comes to wholesale, for example, it's really easy to get ungated. You buy from a supplier, they give you the invoice, you submit that invoice, Amazon approves you. With arbitrage, it's not so simple. People usually resort to using email confirmations, packing slips, or blank pieces of paper. And yes, it did work for some time, but naturally, when it comes to Amazon, people find a loophole, they abuse it, and then they ruin it for everyone. So yes, although Amazon let this slide for a bit, they are really cracking down on ungating recently. They are regating a bunch of brands, but even worse, they're making it harder and harder to get ungated. But it's okay. At the end of this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to get ungated with actual real invoices, even if you're not working with wholesale distributors. Next, let's talk about order cancels. Now, this is a really annoying part of the arbitrage business. You will inevitably run into a time where you're sourcing from a site and your orders start getting canceled, which really sucks because you spend a lot of time sourcing and doing product research just for a site to then cancel your order. But keep in mind, there is always ways around it. Now, this usually happens because you're getting flagged for potential fraud from a website, but you can also get flagged for being a reseller from sites like Target. Now, I'm going to share with you a couple of different ways that you can avoid this. But before I do, I want you to keep in mind and I want you to ask yourself, is it worth me figuring out how to avoid this order cancel? Is the opportunity there for me to spend the time to figure this problem out? Because if you're sourcing from a site and let's say you can buy 1 or 2 units at a time, the product doesn't really sell that crazy, it might be better for you just to keep looking somewhere else. But let's say you're able to buy 5, 10, 20 units of a product, the profit is really good, it sells really well, and the opportunity is just overall really great. In that case, you need to figure out how to overcome this order cancel, because I guarantee you, if you're getting hit with them, there's a lot of other people out there also getting hit with these order cancels, and not everyone is going to figure out how to get this done. Just getting hit with a simple order cancel is enough for people to just give up on that site or even give up on the business. You'd be surprised how easily people are willing to give up. But let's go over how to avoid this if you do run into it. The first thing that you want to do is you want to place small orders for your first 1, 2, or 3 orders. The reason you want to do this is because if you remember, I said you're getting flagged for potential fraud, and this is all automated. There is nobody manually canceling your orders. So what happens when you place multiple small orders in the beginning is that you're showing up multiple times in the system as somebody who has ordered inventory, paid for that inventory, and received that inventory. So the likelihood of you getting flagged for fraud is a lot less. The second thing you want to do is use things like PayPal checkout, Google Pay, Apple Pay. I think they work the same, but I usually use PayPal checkout. And I'm not sure why this works. I think it's just PayPal ensures that you're a real person, you're not committing fraud, and then that site ends up trusting you more, because I haven't had any issues with order cancels using PayPal checkout. Now, the third one is emailing and calling support. This one works really, really well. There has not been a time where I haven't reached out to support and gotten this issue completely resolved, even with sites like Target that are more notorious for canceling orders. So with Target, they ended up flagging my account as a reseller when I bought a ton of video games from their website having a big sale. So it got so bad that anytime I used my red card, the orders will all get canceled instantly. I couldn't do any pickup orders, I couldn't do any deliveries, I couldn't do anything. So I ended up reaching out to support. We talked back and forth about the issue, and then we got it resolved, and I haven't had any issues since. This works really, really well. I've done this with multiple sites. I will use this as my last resort. Usually I try to troubleshoot the order cancel myself and then reach out to to support, but it works every single time. Next step is shipping, prepping, and prep centers. Now, one of the biggest advantages that you have with arbitrage is simply speed. You can go out right after this video. You can buy a product, you can bring it back home, you can prep it, and you can ship it off to Amazon all within the same hour, which is not something you can do with any other model. So it presents a lot of opportunity for those of you that are willing to hustle. But specifically when it comes to prepping and shipping, I think in the beginning, when you're first starting out, you need to be doing this yourself for two specific reasons. One, speed, and two, confidence. Most of the time, you're gonna be able to ship out your products much faster than your prep center because you can receive it, you can prep it, and you can send it out to Amazon all within the same day. A prep center is not gonna be able to do that because they simply have too many other accounts to worry about. Now, the confidence aspect of doing this is really overlooked, I believe. Now, let's say you only ever use a prep center. You've never created your own shipment, not even a single time. Well, you're gonna run into a lot of opportunities that would be great if you sent it to yourself, but would not be great if you sent it to a prep center. So what most people are gonna do is they're just gonna pass on that inventory. Also, when there's good opportunities to do FBM, you're gonna be less likely to do it because you've never even created your own shipment before. So getting some hands-on experience in the beginning, I think is really, really valuable. Now, with that being said, we are not gonna do this forever. Eventually, you're gonna be sourcing so much inventory that it's just gonna simply take way too much time, and that time would be better spent sourcing more and more inventory that's gonna make you more money. When you get to this point, if you're doing arbitrage, you need to get a prep center in a tax-free state. Keep in mind, with the arbitrage model, we are still required to pay sales tax when we're purchasing inventory. So I'm in California. If I buy something that's $100, automatically, if I get it sent to myself, I'm paying $107.25. But if I send that to a prep center, then I'm avoiding that additional $7.25 that I would have to pay per unit. So not only am I saving that money, but I'm also not having to worry about prepping that inventory. So you can see how beneficial it becomes once you get to this stage. Now, I want to quickly talk about creating your moat, which yes, you're going to need tactics to achieve, but it's also a mindset that I want you to adopt. There's a lot of people that are going to be sourcing the same sites as you, the same categories, the same brands as you. So how can you protect yourself from things like listings tanking in price? Well, you can manufacture margin, that's one. You can also source products that have a higher average selling price, that's two. You can also keep in mind ease of discovery, which we talked about later, but you can also take advantage of advanced listings. These are listings that have no buy box, they have no sales rank. They're currently out of stock, maybe they're a variation. These are good ways to separate yourself from all of the other people, because what do new sellers do? They go for the fastest selling product, the easiest to find product, and they avoid advanced listings because they simply don't know how to review them. Keeping in mind how you're creating your moat is going to help you win in a sea of losing Amazon sellers. Next, I want to talk about something that I call OA organization. Now, one of the biggest things that pushed me away from OA in the beginning was that I felt like I was always on the hunt for new ASINs. And I thought to myself, I'm like, how is this even feasible? How am I going to create a business if I can only buy 5 to 10 products at a time and I'm always looking for new inventory? But this is exactly where I went wrong. I was always on the hunt for new ASINs. I had absolutely zero organization of all of the inventory that I was buying on a daily basis, which meant that I wasn't replenishing any of those profitable products that I bought in the past unless I just happened to remember about them. From day one, you need to keep track of every single purchase that you make. Write down where you got that product from, how many you ordered, how you were able to get that price, and any other additional details that you think are important. In the beginning, this is nothing special, but after you've sourced so many products month after month, this will turn into the best possible leads list that you could ever have access to. Think about it. You kept track of every single purchase. And once you go back, every single product that you see on that list has been purchased, has been vetted, and has been tested. So all you need to do is go back and see which are still worth restocking. This is going to help you from always having to look for more and more ASINs, and you can focus on restocking the ones that you've already tested and vetted. Next one is inventory management and repricing. Now that you have actual inventory in the FBA warehouse, you need to be using a repricer so that all of your products are automatically getting repriced at all times of day. This is going to help you turn over your inventory at a faster rate, but it's also going to help you just focus on product sourcing. You do not want to waste any time manually repricing your products because everyone else is also using a repricer and you're not going to be able to keep up. Also, once you have inventory in the warehouse, you want to have an inventory management tool like Sellerboard. This is going to tell you which products are profitable, which products need to be restocked, how soon they need to be restocked. But it just gives you a high level view of how your business is performing so that you can make the necessary steps to either improve or keep doing what you're doing. I left a link down below in the description for all of the softwares that I've talked about in this video, but also for Sellerboard, you can get 2 free months if you use the link down below. Now, like I said earlier, ungating is crucial when it comes to online arbitrage. It can really open up so many more opportunities for you to find more and more profitable inventory. Because of that, I've gone ahead and made this video for you guys. I'm going to show you the exact products that you need to purchase, the exact suppliers that you need to use, the exact sites that you need to use so that you can get real legitimate invoices to get yourself ungated on Amazon.